Chapter 1. Robin Hood and Will Scarlet. It was a warm, sunny day in Sherwood Forest. Robin Hood was enjoying the peace and quiet under the shade of a big oak tree. He loved this forest where he lived with his band of merry men. They were his family now, since the Sheriff of Nottingham had killed his parents and taken all his land. "Probably the Sheriff is looking for me now," thought Robin. The Sheriff called him the Outlaw Robin Hood, because Robin and his men helped the poor people of Nottingham. They stole from the rich to give to the poor. King Henry wanted to become richer and richer, and invented a new tax every day, so many people did not have enough money to live. Robin Hood and his men tried to help these people, so the poor loved them, but the rich hated them. Robin and his band of men were all good archers. This was important for hunting and defending themselves against the sheriff's soldiers. However, they never harmed their rich victims. Instead, they outwitted them. Suddenly, Robin heard a noise. He jumped up quickly and hid behind the tree. Nearby, a young man was about to shoot a deer with his bow and arrow. "Put down your arrow at once," Robin said. "Who do you think you are to give me such orders?" asked the stranger. Robin was about to get angry when he noticed something familiar about the boy, so he said, "I am Robin Hood. May I have the pleasure of knowing your name?" The young man was very surprised, and in a trembling voice he asked, "Robin, do you really not recognize your cousin? Has the war changed me so much?" "Do you mean you are William Gamwell? William Gamwell, better known as Will Scarlet because of the colour of your hair?" In reply, William pushed back his hood to show his head of curly red hair. The two young men laughed and cried at the same time. They were so happy to see each other. However, this happy moment ended when Will asked Robin about his family. "I'm sorry, Will, but the king forced your family to leave Gamwell Hall and took all your land. They are now living in a smaller house in Barnesdale with Maud and Marion." "But are they all well?" asked Will. "Yes, my dear cousin," Robin answered. "They are all well, even if less rich. But it is more important that they still have each other to love." "You are right, Robin," agreed Will. "But my father made his fortune as an honest man. This is all so unfair." "I know," said Robin. "Why don't you join me and my band of merry men? Together we can fight against the king and his friends." "I would be honoured," exclaimed Will. "In that case you must meet my men," said Robin, and he blew on his horn. In a few seconds, about 100 men appeared, all dressed in green, like Robin. That evening, at their hideout in the forest, they had a big dinner to celebrate Will's return. During the meal, Will said he wanted to go to Barnesdale the next day to see his family again. Robin and two of his men, Much and Little John, decided to go with him. Early next morning, they happily set out on foot for Barnesdale. Will Scarlet was excited about seeing his family again and the girl he loved, Maud, his sweet, beautiful Maud. Will was lost in his dreams and only realized that he had spoken his thoughts aloud when Robin and Much laughed and said, "Maud, Maud, my sweet, beautiful Maud." William became as red as his curly hair. "You shouldn't laugh, Robin," he said. "While you were sleeping last night, I heard you say the name of your loved one, Marion." Now it was Robin's turn to feel embarrassed, and everyone laughed again. On the road to Barnsdale, they decided to stop at an inn for the night. Robin pulled his hood down over his face in case the sheriff's men were in town. They sat at a table drinking and talking. Will Scarlet looked up as two men came into the inn. One of the men looked at Will intensely, then quickly left the room. Will was excited about seeing his family again and said nothing about the stranger to his friends. The following morning, Much and Little John decided to return to Sherwood Forest. Robin and Will continued their journey. When they arrived at the house, Robin entered first to prepare Will's parents. He was afraid the shock would be too much for them. At last, Will embraced his mother and father again and his two sisters, and everyone cried for joy. Maud and Marion were not there. They were out walking, so the two young men went to look for them. They soon saw the girls in the garden. Will was suddenly afraid. "And if Maud doesn't like me any more, what shall I do, Robin?" he asked sadly. "Are you mad, Will Scarlet? You're talking about Maud, who loves you so much. How can you doubt her love?" asked Robin. Will had no time to answer, because at that moment the girls turned round and saw the two young men. They ran to each other, shouting for joy. "Will, you are safe at last!" exclaimed Maud. "Yes, my beautiful Maud," replied Will, kissing her tenderly. "I will never leave you again. Please say you will marry me, my dear Maud, and we can be together forever." "Yes, of course, my love. I will be the happiest woman in England," she exclaimed. Meanwhile, Robin and Marion stood together hand in hand, watching the scene. They too were in love, but Robin did not want his beautiful Marion to live like an outlaw in the forest. Moreover, Marion was also worried about her brother Alan. He was away fighting in the war, and nobody knew exactly where he was. "Marion, I will bring you back your brother. Then, when I have my home and land again, we too will marry," promised Robin. "Bring me back my brother, but do not worry about the house or land. I will be happy to live anywhere with you," replied Marion. The young couple kissed. Then followed Maud and Will, who were running home to tell everyone about their wedding plans. The ceremony was arranged for the following day, and everyone prepared for the happy event. Next morning, however, when they went to call Will, they could find him nowhere.